Home Media.
This episode is sponsored by Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big Fish Bail Bonds is your first choice in bondsmen. We are located 3 blocks away from the Sedgwick County Jail in Wichita, Kansas. We accept all major credit cards and we accept payment plans on big bonds with no collateral in some cases. Find us at bigfishbailbonds.us or give us a call at 316-262-4100. Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big or small, we release them all.
Best Rate for the Win. I'm Ashley McClure with IVP Benefits Consulting Group. We want to help you or your company find the best health, dental, and vision insurance rates available without sacrificing any benefits. Call us at 620-904-7010 to find your winning rate.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Chibergi, and joining me from Arizona is Derek. How you doing, Derek?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
So not too bad. I'm keeping busy, taking care of my daughter who's down with the flu bug, and
oh my gosh,
trying to get her back on her feet. So I'm keeping pretty busy.
For those of you that are curious, I do a little bit of stand-up comedy, sing for a rock and roll band. And when you see me on stage, if you ever see me on stage, or if me and Ricky ever do any Kansas Missing and Unsolved live show stuff, Ricky, I wear Tommy Bahamas on stage, is what I'm trying to tell you.
You wear what?
Tommy Bahamas. I think that's what they're called. These shirts, the Hawaiian shirts, the tourist shirts.
Gotcha.
I've decided that's where I'm most comfortable when I moved out here to Arizona. I like the whole. Do you have any Hawaiian shirts, Ricky?
No, I don't. I did years ago, but I don't anymore.
We'll get you a couple. Chris Unruh says, "Good evening, Ricky and Derek." Kelly Upoff in the house. Her baby's probably watching.
Oh yeah,
we got Ellen Dotson. Trisha Arnold is over in YouTube land.
Yay! And Chris is watching from YouTube. It looks like too.
Yeah, and we got a couple people watching on Reddit. It's a good night so far.
Share that YouTube out there and get that going.
Yeah. So. What's Melissa House is here. Hey, Melissa, how you doing? So, Ricky, I actually did something that everybody watching needs to do, and I can't believe it took me this long. But last night, and the reason is this, because when I log into my computer, I'm not signed into YouTube on my main account when I log into my computer. But if I log into a separate account, it's actually signed into my YouTube, and I never sign into that side. Finally signed in, looked up Muddy Waters Search and Rescue, subscribed, commented on all the videos. You know, that's something that everybody watching needs to do. Get over to YouTube and search for Muddy Waters Search and Rescue. I was telling him that he needs to be on the show at some point in the near future.
Yeah, he does.
You know, his channel's great. He's doing good stuff over there. And I'm glad that I finally was able to go over there and subscribe and check out the channel, because it's been long overdue. I've seen his videos before, but again, I was never signed into YouTube, so I couldn't do anything, comment or do anything. Kelly says that she is, and she likes watching this with her for some reason. Awesome. Wow. Deidre is here from Wichita, the ICT. Awesome.
Hey. Yep, she's here.
So I was going to ask you, have you been keeping up with what's going on with the Delphi murder situation? Or
trying to? They're really not talking much about what's going on. They're really keeping it close to the vest right now. They had a press conference last Monday, and I mean, it was a lot of talking about getting justice for Abby and Libby and things of that nature, and thanking all the individual law enforcement agencies involved with this to get it to this point and this and that, but they didn't really talk about what led him to his arrest or anything like that at all. They said that information is going to be sealed until a later date. So
I'm guessing sealed until there's a resolution in court, or because who knows how much of that court will be public,
Right.
It's a pretty publicized case, though. I mean, people I don't follow true crime as much as I should. I follow Kansas true crime with Ricky, but I don't really spend a lot of time listening to true crime podcasts or following other crimes. But um, several people over the last year and a half, 2 years, have sent me articles about the Delphi girls, about the
Right.
Delphi murders. So I know that that's something that a lot of people are talking about. Hopefully they do got their guy, and hopefully they can
Yeah.
get a conviction out of that. Pam says she shared us to the local police scanner page in Topeka. Awesome.
Sweet. Thank you, Pam. I appreciate that.
Rodney Cox is in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Rodney.
Yeah, Kelly, my wife listens to nothing but true crime stuff all day. Like when she does dishes, she just listens to true crime podcasts. I like true crime podcasts. I haven't listened to a ton of them. My thing is, my thing, Ricky, is I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are covering true crime, and I don't. If as long as you're covering cases and you're telling people about it, then that's
Yeah.
that's fine. You're spreading awareness. But I feel like some people do true crime podcasts because they know that it's gory and they know that it's going to freak people out. And like to me, I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to the victims and the families, the way some of these podcasts hold themselves up, the way some of these podcasts, it's just gore. Basically, they're just trying to show their audience gore and really not taking into consideration the families and the victims that had to go through stuff, So I like true crime, but at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of them are really, really dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a little bit about that. I was watching a YouTube channel called Lamont at Large, and he was talking about that yesterday on one of the videos he released yesterday. And yeah, apparently Jared, the guy that heads up Adventures with Purpose, he molested a cousin of his when they were, well, he was about 17, I guess, when it happened, and she was, I think, like 9 or 10, but she came out with the story and stuff like that. And I guess his response to it on his Facebook was that he pretty much, he admitted to it and apologized for it and stuff like that. So hopefully it doesn't affect Adventures with Purpose, the rest of the team. Hopefully not, because they're doing amazing things. And I hate to see this, really destroy them, because they're doing a lot of good work. They've solved at least, I think it was 21 or 22 missing persons cases by all the diving they've been doing. So hopefully they can continue to keep doing that.
I had no idea that happened. That was very terrible.
Yeah, pretty bad. I got to find some news stories on that and see what I can find on
Hey,
there.
Jocelyn.
Hey,
yeah, that's
Jocelyn.
very terrible. I hate hearing stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah. And then Nisi saying predator in Columbia, Missouri. Cops asking for help. And she's going on to say, caller reported that an adult male approximately 6 feet with brown eyes had entered their home, fled on discovery. Caller stated that the suspect was wearing a white hat, light-colored shoes, light-colored shirt, light-colored shorts. In the interest of public safety, video from a nearby security camera is shared with this release. There's a video link there. It says best viewed with the VLC media player and can be accessed at that link there at the bottom there. So I'll have to check that out after the show and see what's going on with that.
Niecy's always bringing in the stories. She's got
That's
all
crazy.
the links.
Oops, I hit it back up there. Sorry. That's crazy. And let's see what else is going on here.
She says, Trisha says they are resigning. Unfortunately,
no.
Pam says, unfortunately, he owns AWP.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Trevor Garner saying, hey, Derek, I'm calling. Okay.
Yeah, he's just a guy. We don't need to talk about his comments.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some cases. We don't have a super long list tonight, but we have a lot of information on a lot of these flyers that Ricky was telling me about. So,
and Nisi's saying, help us find this guy in Como, Columbia, Missouri. And then she says, I love my community. Yeah. Good deal.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and talk about Erin Leanne Shaw from Hayesville, Kansas.
Okay. And she, like I said, she's missing from Hayesville, Kansas since October 5th of this year. She was last known to be driving a gray 2006 GMC Envoy with a breast cancer license plate. Erin's gray and white long-haired Chihuahua is with her. She's 44 years old, 5'9", weighs 215 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes. Her nose and right eyebrow are pierced. She does have multiple tattoos. She has a tattoo of serendipity. I don't know if I said that right. Serendipity on her left forearm, a tattoo of Nick and Caleb on her chest, a tattoo of Sugar Me on her left shoulder, a tattoo of 413 on the back of her right wrist, a tattoo of a red rose on the back of her neck, a tattoo of Pooh Bear on her left upper arm, and a tattoo of Caleb on her left wrist. I have a couple pictures of those tattoos on her flyer. If you have any information regarding Erin's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, or see her vehicle, please call Hayesville, Kansas Police Department at 316-529-5912 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Erin located and back to her family, because I know they're worried about her. They contacted me and asked me if I could get a flyer made out there, and I did. I sure did.
Awesome.
Got a cute little dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to figure out, because I try to keep the flyers clean for the show, and I put the main call-in numbers on this week's flyers. So I'll if there's like dogs and stuff, I'll try to figure out a way to add that on there as well.
Yeah, because hers has the dog and a couple shots of the tattoos.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out. I still want to get like a way to play videos so we can change the pictures, but
yeah, that'd be cool.
Got to walk before you can fly, I guess.
And Esther under is here. Hello, Ricky and Derek. Hey, Esther.
Oh, awesome.
How are you doing?
Oh, yeah. And she says, don't forget that we still need to find Megan Fogelsong and Stargale Boomer. There's a lot of people that need to be found.
Definitely.
A lot of people that need to be found. Let's talk about Mackenzie Goodall. I was so happy that she was located. She was missing for such a long time. Yeah. And then she was located, and it looks like she's gone again.
Yeah, she's missing from Edgerton, Kansas since November 3rd of this year. She's 14, 5'6", 155 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. It's believed she is with Genesis Shade, who we'll be covering also, who's also a missing endangered runaway. It's believed they are in, and Genesis is driving a 2016 gold Chrysler Town and Country minivan. Mackenzie's 14, 5'6", weighs 155 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes. They may be in the Lawrence, Kansas area. If you have any information regarding Mackenzie's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Johnson County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 913-782-0720 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get them located and back to where they need to be.
And I hope that it's not last time she was missing for so long.
Oh, I know. It was a long time.
It was like a year, wasn't it?
Something like that.
And she's with and there's another case that she's with, maybe?
Yeah, Shade, Genesis Shade, which you should have her flight.
Got you right there.
Yeah, missing from Edgerton, Kansas as well since November 3rd. She's 16. She's 5'7", weighs 230 pounds, blonde or strawberry hair, and blue eyes. She is believed to be driving a 2016 Gold Town and Country minivan. It's Chrysler. And it's believed she is with with Mackenzie Goodall. They were last seen in the Kansas City, Kansas area about 1 p.m. on November 3rd. And it's believed they may be in the Lawrence, Kansas area. And she's 16. She's 5'7", weighs 230 pounds. She has blonde or strawberry hair that may still have a little bit of pink dye in it and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Genesis' disappearance or you know of her whereabouts or you see that minivan, please call the Johnson County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 913-782-0720 or KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get these young ladies found and back to where they need to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some digging to find out who Genesis was with, because I was initially contacted about Genesis and was told that she was with another juvenile, but they didn't have the information on who the other juvenile was, so I had to do some digging and do some research and found out it was Mackenzie, and I'm like, oh, man, Mackenzie, come on.
Yeah. That's they're young, 14 and 16.
Yeah.
That's pretty young to be out there on your own. Wow. Well, this is one that we have an age progression picture. tell us about this. This is an older case, but it looks like they have an age progression picture they
Yeah,
have up.
Nick Mick put up a new age progression recently, so I went ahead and added it to the flyer. But yeah, it's Jakia Yvonne Scale. She's missing from Wichita, Kansas on September 5th, 2001. She was 4 when she went missing. She would now be 25. She's 3 foot tall, 40 pounds, black hair and brown eyes when she went missing. She was last seen in her bed in Wichita, Kansas residence in the 1600 block of North Volusia Street near 15th and Hillside Streets at approximately 12:30 in the morning on September 5th, 2001. She was discovered missing at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's never been heard from again. There were no signs of forced entry to the residence and no indications of a struggle, and the family's dog hadn't barked. The back door was broken at the time of Jakia's disappearance and therefore was not locked. She lived with her mother, Eureka Scales, her younger brother, 2 uncles, and her maternal great-grandmother, Maddie Mitchell, at the time of her disappearance, and had no contact with her father. Because her mother, Eureka, was only 14 years old when she had Jakia, she asked Mitchell to have custody. Jakia started preschool the day before her disappearance. That night, her mother was staying with a friend, and Mitchell had charge of the children. Social workers removed Jakia's younger brother from their home and placed him in the custody of the Kansas Department of Social Rehabilitation Services, or SRS, now known as DCF. Shortly after Jakia disappeared, due to concern about living conditions in the residence about Jakia's disappearance, the boy was not returned to his mother's care until August 2004, almost 3 years later. Police are not sure or not Jakia was whether or not she was abducted. Her mother believes she is still alive. Eureka said her daughter was a very talkative child in 2001 and liked to wear colorful barrettes in her hair. Her favorite toy was a doll that could turn over by itself. And her case does remain unsolved. And if you have any information regarding her disappearance, you know of Jakia's whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4646 or 316-268-4220 or 316-660-9452 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or KBI at 785-296-4017. Or you can call National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as well at 1-800-843-5678 and see if we can't get Jakia located and back to where she needs to be. Definitely no shortage of phone numbers, that's for sure. So
I'm wondering what the process.
You know.
I'm wondering what the process is as far as getting an age progression picture.
I don't know.
Because you'd think we have a lot of cases that are older, and not every flyer has an age progression picture. I'm just wondering, like, because I'm sure it costs money to have whoever does that do it, you know.
Well, like Vincent Moore, I mean, he's been missing for quite a few years now, and the only picture that's still out there is him as a baby. So, I mean, that I know they're in the process of, I guess, trying to get him an age progression done, and when it comes out, I'm going to add it to the flyer.
Right.
So I'm watching for that.
Yeah. Well, this is sad. It's been a long time, 21 years.
Yeah.
And that's just like, 4 years old.
Right.
Like my niece is 4. I can't imagine her being unaccounted for off. It's just, that's so scary.
Right.
I'd like to, hope that she's okay. And, it's kind of, you hear about these cases where people kidnap kids and then raise them as their own.
Right.
As sick and twisted as that is, at least the kid's alive, Like that's one thing. I'm like, well, and a lot of times when the DNA tests, like there's been, I can probably count 5 times I've heard about kids seeing like a missing persons poster or something and being like, that kind of looks like me, and my parents or my mom or my dad, their version of how I don't have a birth certificate, all that stuff, and they've basically outed their parents that were raising them as like, I think these people kidnapped me, and they were right,
Yeah.
Like that does happen. People that can't have kids and stuff, they'll steal children, It's like crazy. So that's what I was telling my son. I was making these flyers tonight, and he came in here. He's like, all these people are missing, and I was like, yeah, pay attention when you're outside. I was like,
right,
you never know who's out there in the lurch.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw a clip on, it's been a couple of weeks ago or so, where it was in a news article where this family had just come from shopping, and the little girl was outside playing when mom and dad was taking stuff in the house, and she was out in the yard. This guy comes walking down the sidewalk, and he tries grabbing her by the hand as he's walking by, just casually, And she pulls away, and he tries to grab again, and she lets out a big old scream and runs for the door and gets inside and told her mom and dad what was going on because dad happened to be home from work that day. And he ran out the door, hopped in his vehicle, followed the guy down the street, called the police while he was following him, and they arrested the guy. So I mean,
Good.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I said, they were just out there playing while mom and dad were taking stuff in from the store, and this guy just leisurely walks by, grabs her by the hand, tries to take her. It was just nuts.
Jeez.
But yeah, Alice Miller, she's one missing from here in Salina. I was actually tagged on a post about her missing, and I reached out to her mom and offered to do the flyer and got it made for her. And she's missing here from Salina, Kansas since November 6th of this year, a couple of days. She's 14. She's 5'6", 120 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. It's believed that she left the home in the middle of the night. If you have any information regarding Alice's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Alice located and back home to where she needs to be.
Jordan Radloff says they are cutting babies out of women's stomach after meeting them on Craigslist. I've heard that too.
Yeah. There was that one in Arkansas here I think it was Arkansas. Just here recently, and they arrested a couple for that. They found the mom dead in one location, and I guess the baby dead in another location.
Kelly says it terrifies me to not even see my daughter. I couldn't fathom her going missing.
Yep, I hear you. Mine's 18, and it's 18 and 16 years old. I couldn't imagine them going missing at that age.
Right, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Jocelyn Sokup says it's scary when it's so close to home. Yep.
Yeah, claiming she was going to give her free baby clothes. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's terrible. Mental illness is real. Sick world, he says.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's go out of state for a little bit. I want to talk about Mike Montijo.
I believe that's how you would pronounce that. That was how I was going to pronounce it. So, yeah. This was when I was contacted and asked if I would do, and I was sure I had to do when I got home from work that night, but I got it done. He's missing from Ridgeville, South Carolina, since January 26th of 2020. He was 55 when he went missing. He would now be 58. He's 5'5", weighs 165 pounds. He has salt and pepper hair and brown eyes. He left his wallet, keys, and cell phone at his home when he at the time of his disappearance. Again, he was 55. He'd now be 58. He's 5'5", weighs 165 pounds. Has salt and pepper hair and goatee and brown eyes. He has the letters MM tattooed on the back of his left hand. He has a panther tattooed on his left forearm. He may have been wearing a camouflage Gore-Tex military-style jacket and blue jeans at the time of his disappearance, and he may have been suffering from some medical issues when he went missing. So if you have any information regarding Michael's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call the Colleton County, South Carolina Sheriff's Office at 843-549-2211. or 843-782-4420, and see if we can help get Mike located and back home to his family where he needs to be. As I know they're definitely worried and wanting him home.
Wow. 3 years.
Yeah. And that's Deirdre that was joining us. That's a family member of hers. Yep. You're very welcome, Deirdre. She says, thank you for covering Mike. He's missed by many. Sure he is. Hopefully we can help get him found.
Man. Let's talk about Alicia Christian Navarro. And I know we've covered her before. This is a Glendale case. This happened recently, 2019, it says.
Yeah, and this one I just added an age progression too. They just recently put out an age progression for her, and I added it to this flyer. She's missing from Glendale, Arizona since September 15th, 2019. She was 14 when she went missing. She'd now be 18. She's 4'5", weighs 95 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. She snuck out of the house during the early morning hours. It was discovered that chairs were pushed up to a fence in the backyard of the family home. Footprints believed to be Alicia's were found on both sides of the fence. She left a note behind saying, I ran away. I will be back. I swear. I'm sorry, Alicia. She also she did take her cell phone and her silver Apple MacBook, but she did not take the chargers to either one. She also took a comic book with her that she wanted. She asked her mom to buy it for her, and it was a pretty high dollar comic book. But she never read it, but she did take it with her. She's been diagnosed as a high functioning on the autism spectrum. She also suffers from high anxiety issues and has a compromised immune system. At the time of her disappearance, she was 14. She's now 18. She's 4 foot tall, weighs 95 pounds. She has long brown hair and brown eyes. She does wear braces and may be wearing a sweatshirt. She does like to wear sweatshirts, even though she's in Arizona. She likes wearing sweatshirts. So if you have any information regarding Alicia's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Glendale, Arizona Police Department at 623-930-3000 or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-843-5678 and see if we can't get her located. And there is currently a $20,000 reward for information leading to her safe return as well. So there again, if you have any information, please call that in. I know they fear that she was maybe lured by a trafficker or something. And that may be who she wanted the comic book for. I don't know. But like I said, there is a new age progression added to her flyer. So if you get a chance, go to the Kansas Missing and Unsolved page and check out that new flyer, and you can see the age progression photo.
Yeah, because that was Glendale. Yeah, it's like I live in Glendale, basically. Like I don't, right. But I pretty much live in Glendale. Wow. Let's talk about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania case. Terry. I'm not slogging out.
That's my guess on that one. That was a tough one. I've been struggling with that one for a little while, but that's another one that I was messaged about and asked if I could get something made and put out for her, and I sure will. She's missing from Pittsburgh. Her name's Terry Slogenhout, missing from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania since January 6th of 1991. She was 28 when she went missing. She would now be 60. She is 5'2", weighs 110 pounds, has brown hair and hazel eyes. She had a date during the evening hours of January 6, 1991. At 10 p.m., she returned to the apartment she shared with a roommate in the 1400 block of North St. Clair Street in Pittsburgh. She had plans for a man to pick her up the next day so she could go to a job interview. Afterwards, she told her roommate she was going out to a nearby convenience store. She never returned home and has never been heard from again. Her mother last saw her Christmas in 1990 when Terry visited with the man. She had plans to get together with her brother on January 8th, but when he arrived at her home, she wasn't there, and her roommate told him she hadn't been seen in a couple of days. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 28. She would now be 60. She's 5'2", weighs 110 pounds. She has brown hair that was curly at that time and hazel eyes. She has a scar on her forehead at her hairline, and her ears are pierced. If you have any information regarding Terry's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Police Department at 412-323-7800 or 412-255-2888 and see if we can help them get her found and back home to her family. My understanding from more information I read regarding Terry was her and her mother's relationship was somewhat strained because Terry had quite an issue with alcohol abuse, and it really caused some problems between her and her mom. But her mom, in one article that I had read, stated that she feels like that Terry's still alive and still out there somewhere, and she says she attributes that to her mother's intuition. So she's still feeling like Terry's still out there and wants her to be found. So see if we can't help make that happen.
I lived in Pittsburgh for a few months.
I've never even been there.
It was a really, 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 really big city. Bridges, water everywhere, mountains. I got nervous. I was 18.
I think if I ever go to Pennsylvania, I want to check out Hershey and partake in some chocolate.
Yeah. Pennsylvania's great, man. Really cold in the winters, though. I found that out real quick.
Right.
Let's talk about Unique. Looks like a 2010 disappearance.
Okay, I'm going to cover her flyer, and then there was an update that I somewhere along the way had missed, but I'll go into that after I cover the flyer here. I'll get this article pulled up before I start covering the flyer. Okay, she is missing from Washington, D.C. since October 9th, 2010. She was 24 when she went missing. She is now 36. She is 5'7" to 5'10" tall, weighs 130 pounds. She has brown or auburn hair and brown eyes. She went missing from her apartment in the 2400 block of Hartford Street, Southeast in Washington, D.C. Her cousin and her cousin's children were visiting it at the time, and they spent the night with Unique and her sons. There were no indications of forced entry at her residence, but her purse, money, ID, and glasses were left behind at her apartment. She had very poor vision and always wore her glasses. Her keys and cell phone were also missing, and the last call on her phone was about 3 o'clock in the morning on October 10th. At the time of her disappearance, again, she was 24. She'd now be 36. Stands between 5'7" and 5'10", weighs around 130 pounds. She has brown hair with auburn strands and brown eyes. She has a tattoo of the names Richard and you, Andre, on her lower back, and a tattoo of her name, Unique, on her upper right arm. She was last seen wearing a white shirt and gray pants. And the update that I have is there was a man arrested in her disappearance and murder. This was back in December 21st of 2020 that when this article came out. Police said they know who killed Unique Harris, although her body has never been recovered. Let's see here. This is the mother of the Unique Harris moved to Richmond area, Washington, D.C. to start a new life in 2010. One day her children woke up to find their mother wasn't there. Over the weekend, of course, this was back in a few years back, they charged 43-year-old Isaac Moye with second-degree murder. Turner says he knew Harris. News of the arrest as what she believes will help her grandsons begin to heal. Today, they're teenagers who attend Verena High School. So they do have an arrest made again. His name is 43-year-old Isaac Moye. His trial, I guess, is not supposed to commence until next year, from what I read. So he's yet to stand trial, but he is arrested. And if anybody does have any information regarding her disappearance, please call Washington, D.C. Metro PD at 202-715-7300 or 202-645-9600 and see if we can't help get her located so she can be laid to rest properly. It's a tragic case. And I've had a chance in the past to visit with Unique's mom and made the flyer for her mom, and I even bought. She was selling T-shirts to try to help raise reward money, and I bought one of those shirts, and she had a special one done for me where it has the flyer that I made put on the front of the shirt, and I have it hanging in my closet in here. But yeah, so I like I said, I have visited with her mom, and I know her mom's just really heartbroken by the whole thing, and wants to get her found and laid to rest properly. And Trisha says I'm cutting out. Okay, and I'm okay now.
Well, it's because whenever you go to a website, you have too much stuff going on there. Every time you try to read from an article, it does that.
Okay, gotcha.
Maybe we'll need to have you copy and paste those articles and paste it in a Word document or something in the future.
Yeah, that's what I was just in there thinking too. Was put it in, do it in Paint or Word or something. And
yeah.
That way I'm not opening too many tabs.
Yeah.
Because currently I've got about 8 open right now.
Let's talk about Kenny Wrightcheck.
Yeah, and Connie Judd was just asking any more on Kenny. Haven't seen or heard anything, and I keep hoping someday to hear something. I did visit with an officer with the police department not too long ago, and he didn't really have any information, but he just I told him what we were doing, and he said he hopes that what we're doing will break something open. So hoping and praying it does. Kenny's been missing from here in Salina since November 4th, 2019. He was 69 when he went missing. He'd now be 72. He's 5'9", weighs 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. He does sometimes use the last name Browns instead of Wrightcheck. Does suffer from diminished mental health capabilities, and he's on disability, but he's not tried to access the funds since he was last seen. He may have family in Northwest Kansas, possibly around Colby. He was last seen at the Gospel Mission in Salina. He left there and hasn't been seen or heard from since that time. He does not have a cell phone, a vehicle, or any ID. His only mode of transportation that I was ever seen him with is a bicycle that he rode around town and pushed around town when he was picking up scrap to sell at Salina Iron and Metal, which is now known as All Metal Recycling. My understanding was his payees weren't real good about giving him pocket money for when he was out and about, so he would sell scrap over there for extra money. Again, he was 69 when he went missing. He's now 72. He's 5'9", weighs about 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. If anybody has any information regarding Kenny's disappearance or you know where he might be, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get Kenny located and back to where he needs to be. It's just, it's heartening, just disheartening and really bothersome that nothing's ever come out and nothing's been said. No updates from the police department, no nothing.
Yeah.
I watch for updates on their Facebook all the time. I watch the news sites around town for updates and just absolutely nothing.
I think we're the only ones covering it, to tell you the truth.
Probably. I would agree with that.
Not because anybody else is a bad person. I just think we're the only ones covering it. It's just a fact, I think.
See, Kelly brings up a good question. Are the payees using or keeping his money now that he's gone or whatever? That's a question I don't know an answer to. That's something Derek and I, we've every time we cover his case, Derek brings it up, wondering if the checks have been cashed or not. And I don't have an answer for that. It would be nice to know.
It's got to be illegal if it is, though. If he's on the web, the KBI's website and his checks are being cashed. I mean, I'd love to look into it. I just don't know how. Deidre says he was such a fun and nice guy who was on the streets and around Salina since I was a kid.
Yeah, definitely. I used to talk to him when he would play pinball and video games in the gas stations on the corner and stuff. And I always thought he was a real nice guy.
And bullied him. Kenny never meant any harm to anyone. I don't know. I didn't know he was missing, and that makes me sad.
Yep, I remember some derogatory names I heard people call him back then too. That really just bothered me because I was bullied quite mercilessly in school myself. So, to hear him being bullied, it kind of opened some wounds for me too. So I know what you mean. People can be very harsh. They don't realize that sometimes words hurt worse than a slap in the face does.
Yeah.
I'd rather be slapped in the face than have to put up with some of the stuff I did in high school. So
Kelly says, I wonder if they bothered talking to Social Security. I don't know.
That's a good question.
I'm sure somebody has that answer, but it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah.
And even if say his payees are cashing those checks and spending the money, that doesn't mean they did something to Kenny. It just means that they shouldn't be able to do that. That's Kenny's money.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some answers to that at some point. Because, like I say, the media hadn't done any update stories on him in a long time, and like I said, the police department hasn't come up with any updates or anything. So yeah,
it's no good.
Yeah, we've been covering him, Deidre, since basically not long after he went missing. I saw that he was missing, and I did a flyer immediately. So we've been covering since nearly November 4th of 2019. It was probably a day or two after that, but. Yeah, I've had a flyer up since then.
Well, let's talk about Dana Jane Bruce.
Okay.
Missouri case.
Yeah. She's missing from Sedalia, Missouri since October 4th of 2008. She was 23 when she went missing. She's now 37. She's 5'2", weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair and green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She had left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for that evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. Dana was seen at the Malone's Bar on Main Street with a young man driving a late model red Ford F-150 earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with that man at 11:30 p.m. Police have identified that man that she was with. He traveled to Atlanta after her disappearance, and police questioned him about Dana after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Police have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar, and he never saw her after that. She left all her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush, and she does not have credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. Again, when she went missing, she was 23. She would now be 37. She's 5'2" and weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots and black at the ends with red highlights and green or hazel eyes. Dana was last known to be wearing a black shirt with the words Rebel and silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. She has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She's blind in her left eye. She has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced one time each. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100 or Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178 or toll free at 866-362-6422 and see if we can't help get Dana located and back home to her family because I know they've been looking all these years for her and wanting to get her found and brought back home. Oh, well, Ellen Dodson is Dana's aunt. And she was saying Dana's son Dylan has a bear tattoo with wings like his mom's that has his mom's name on it. It says mom on his left arm. That's cool. I like that. And Amber.
Yeah, it looks like we got a it looks like we got a message in the maybe in the KMU.
I will get a hold of you as soon as we conclude the show this evening, Amber. Writing your name down so I do not forget. Yeah, I just need to get photos of her and some information from you, and I can sure get a flyer made and posted.
Speaking of cases that need resolution, let's go ahead and talk about Alexander Perez. Ulysses, Kansas, December 1st, 2020. Long time since we've anybody seen him.
Yep, he was 35 when he was missing. He's now 37. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he nearly shaves bald, and brown eyes. He'd called a family member on December 1st and said he'd be coming over to do laundry. He never arrived at the family member's home in Ulysses, and he hasn't been seen or heard from since then. He'd been staying with family and friends prior to his disappearance. It's believed that he may still be in the local Ulysses area, or he may be in Garden City or surrounding areas. Again, he was 35 when he was missing. He's now 37. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes, has a tattoo of a bumblebee on his face underneath his left eye, has Perez tattooed on one of his arms, and he has a tattoo of a cross on a chain across his chest. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Grant County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-356-3500 or the Ulysses, Kansas Police Department at 620-356-4600 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Alexander located and back home to his family. So I know they're searching high and low and looking for him and wanting him home too. And if you want to, Derek, you can play that message again if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll play it right now.
We're ready.
I don't know, man. I'm supposed to be going back early morning to go get some shit and then go get some other stuff down there and bring it back down here, but I don't even know, man. It's been wild down here. It's been crazy. Fucking been held at gunpoint and robbed and tried to beat me up. It's a bunch of crazy shit going on in GC, man.
Yeah, it gets me every time I hear that. It's just like, it's almost kind of a, what's the word I want? An ominous prediction or whatever you want to call it kind of thing. Precursor.
Yeah.
To the disappearance.
No, you asked me if I was okay in private chat. No, I've been reading about Adventures with Purpose. I had no idea that happened. That weirded me out.
Oh, wow.
I've been reading about that all night, and also I've been kind of paying attention to the election results too.
Yeah,
I've just been kind of that Adventure with Purpose stuff. That's really rough, man. That's horrible.
I can't believe that's going to be their demise, man. That's just crazy. I would have thought the guys could have kept it up, even though he stepped aside and him transfer ownership or something, maybe. But
or they could buy him out of his. Yeah, because they need. I mean, the what they do is good, but he what he did is kind of unforgivable. You know, it's like
Yeah.
if it's true, and if he's saying he did it, that's not really forgivable.
Oh yeah, that Lamont at Large. When I was watching his video about that, I mean, he was not pulling any punches about Jared when he was covered. I mean, he was, because he had done a video a while back saying there was just something about him. This is before this news broke, but he said there was just something about him that really bothered him.
Yeah.
That it didn't, and people were getting on him about being jealous about all subscribers that Jared had and views that his videos get and this and that. And he says, no, that's not it at all. That's not it at all. He said there was just something about him that didn't feel right. So, I mean, basically, without really saying, his video was kind of an I told you so without really saying I told you so, I guess, kind of thing.
That's the video that I keep seeing pop up whenever I type in that guy's name. This the video you just, so I think that guy is probably gonna, his channel is probably gonna get a lot of exposure out of this.
Oh, yeah.
You're like the third, like 3 blogs I've read and like Reddit, they're all like, oh, go check out this Nug guy. He kind of hits the nail on the head and tells the story. So yeah, that's really sad. I hate to see that happen.
Yeah, because like I said, they had managed to close like 21 or 22 missing persons cases up to this point. So
Trisha said she listened to Jared's sister and cousin talk about it.
Yeah, I guess there's speculation that his cousin wasn't the only victim he had, I guess, but I don't know if that's true or not, but there's speculation.
I mean, because if you frame it like, so if they were both little kids, that's one thing, but it sounds like he was like pretty old. Like she was like
17.
9.
Yeah, she was 9. He was like 17. He tried to say he was 12, but he was 17.
So 17 and a child, that's there's really no arguing your way out of that paper bag. You know, it's not gonna happen. It's and honestly, like, because I went to Kansas 2 months ago to testify against somebody for something similar, and it I don't think that type of behavior is something somebody does once,
right?
You know, I mean, like I'm 39 years old. I've never once thought about harming a child. Like,
yeah, me either.
If somebody can make that decision to harm a child, like, I don't think that's just like a one time, like, oh, I made a mistake. I think it's like, I want to talk to everybody that you've been around in the last 30 years and find out if there's any other victims, because I think that if you do that once, then I think you're going to do it again. I don't think somebody just does that once and just like, oh, I'll just try this. I think that, I don't know. I think it's a mental illness. I don't know what it is, what causes people to do something that disgusting, but yeah, I think it's really hard for Adventures with Purpose to bounce back from something like this. If I'm honest, man, and I feel sorry for his team because they're all, want to do good things, but this guy really put a nail in that coffin. It seems like.
No. It's hard to believe that. I mean, for all the good they did, that this just totally wipes it out, and that's so sad because they did close so many cases and help so many families.
Oh,
that's terrible.
That is really terrible. Well, let's talk about our cold case of the week.
Yeah, Clarence Bryant.
Clarence Bryant.
This was an unsolved homicide. And it was Wichita, Kansas, November 6th of 2016, so just 6 years ago. He was shot multiple times in the street outside of his home in the 1400 block of North Old Manor Road near 13th Street in Oliver in Wichita. Clarence apparently confronted multiple people parked near his home. Witnesses saw a red-colored sedan leaving the area at a high rate of speed following the shooting. If anybody has any information regarding Clarence's death, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4111. or Crime Stoppers at 316-267-2111, or KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get some justice for Clarence and his family. It's a tragic, tragic deal. Too much of that stuff going on in this world, man. Just too much. I mean, there was a house over here across town from me, not too far from where my ex-wife and my other daughter live, and somebody drove up on that house and shot the house 14 times. Went through the bedroom, went through the kids' bedroom, into the adults' bedroom. Narrowly, I guess my understanding was I missed one of the kids by just a couple inches. So, pretty bad deal. And it's a rental property, so I don't think it was meant for that family. It could have been a previous tenant. I'm guessing they're just wrong house altogether. I don't know, but
my parents live in like a nice neighborhood in a suburb of Phoenix. Not like a gated community, but like it's a nice neighborhood, It's like I'm not worried about walking my kids around there. We trick or treat there. It's a nice neighborhood. But like a year and a half ago, they all woke up at 3 a.m. to gunshots, and they went outside, and somebody had shot up the house directly across the street.
Holy
and
crap.
That was definitely the wrong house, because the people that were like, we have no. It was a wrong house.
Yeah.
Nobody got killed, nobody got hit, but just talk about like how dumb you got to be to fire a gun. And I mean, I don't think violence is ever the answer. I don't think shooting somebody is ever the answer. But I mean, you don't even know what you're shooting when you just fire a gun aimlessly. Like you really have trouble with everybody and within bullets reach of you. Like you're mad at one person, but you're gonna shoot an entire house up. You have no idea who's in there. It's just
it's stupid.
It's real dumb.
Shooting at anybody's house, regardless of whether and that was your intent or not. I mean, don't do it.
I tell my kids, use your head. Yeah, I saw a video yesterday. There was this fight. These high school kids were fighting over something dumb, and one of them body slams him and killed him. And that kid's going to go to prison for the rest of his life.
Oh, damn.
Because he killed somebody over a fight about who knows what. And the other kid is dead. Jeez. Fighting over dumb stuff. And it's just, I tell my kids all the time, like, life goes away like that. You have to pay attention. You have to have your head in the game when you're living.
Yeah. I even think about it in the retail world, because even in the retail world, I mean, you make one wrong customer mad, and who's to say they're not going to go out to the car and grab something, come back in and try to do something, You just never know. You never know.
You're not kidding.
That's stupid.
I
saw a pretty funny one. Where was that at? I can't think of where it was at. It was this shoplifting ring it was a bigger city, but it was kind of a humorous clip. It was a surveillance clip from the store. They come in, they grabbed all these, like about $15,000 worth of handbags out of the store. And one of the guys in the ring that was running out, he ran into a window and knocked himself out. You see in the clip him smacking the glass and falling to the floor and just laying there. I don't know if it was cops or in-store security. What ran over, rolled him over, cuffed him up. Like, oh, that's good. Just ran smack into the wall, knocked himself out, or window, knocked himself out. Big old plate glass window. That was hilarious. I'm like, hilarious. We'll make dumb criminal of the week, I guess. Oh man. Yeah, I hate to see so many shootings though. I don't get how we've sunk to that level to where the answer to everybody's beef is to pick up a gun and shoot.
Yeah.
How did we sink to that level? I've been struggling to figure that one out for the last few years now. It's like, how did we get here? It's crazy. I mean, a lot of it, and people may agree with me, people may disagree with me, but I feel like a lot of it is because people have wanted God out of so many places. You see, they don't want him in courtrooms, they don't want him in classrooms, they don't want him in the government buildings. It's like they want God out of everything, and some people even don't want him in their homes or even anymore. And you start doing stuff like that, this is the end result. So much for the term criminal genius. Yeah, I saw another one where these two guys were trying to throw these bricks through this window of this business, and the guy picks up one brick, bounces it off the window, didn't break the window, but it bounced off, knocked the guy out next to him. And he picks up another one, throws it, bounces off the glass, knocks himself out.
I saw that. Yeah.
I was like, oh man, yeah, I agree with that, Trisha. Return to the Wild West. Yeah, that's what it's like. People carrying guns on their hip and stuff again and stuff. It's like, it's like going back to the Wild West, and we're more civil than that. We're supposed to be a more civilized society than that. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I saw one the other day. I guess you say chalk one up for the good guys. Maybe these two guys, there's 2 or 3 guys. They come running into the store stuck a gun in the clerk's face to rob him. And while they're standing there with the gun out in the clerk's face, the guy next to him that was standing in line, he whips out his gun, shoots the guy that was trying to rob the store in the head. It's like, oops. The other
Yeah.
two guys ran like bad out of heck to get out of the store.
There's a subreddit on Reddit where I go, and what's it called? It has like a clever name, but it's basically just things going bad for robbers.
Right.
And it's usually pretty. I don't like watching people die, but it happens on the internet. But yeah, you're right. Like, you'll just see somebody walk into a place and stick them up, and they think they're in charge of the situation, and just another shopper just shoots them dead. It's just like. But again, it's like, maybe don't pull a gun on some stranger. Somebody might shoot you.
Another thing that really doesn't help is this relaxed judicial system of, they get them in courtroom and they basically just go, now don't do it again, and let them go out the door. And then they go out and do it again. They're back in the court. Now don't do it again. It's like, whatever happened to days of making the punishment fit the crime? I mean, come on. You got to give people, how did I put that? I said, if you want the criminals to respect the crime or respect what, you want them to take their stuff seriously, then the judicial system's got to take it seriously. Because until they do, the criminals aren't going to take it seriously. Yeah. They're just going to be like, well, I'm just going to keep doing it because they're not doing anything to me, but just turning me loose again. So why take it serious?
Yeah.
I mean, California, I was saying California and New York, there's been I think it's like Costco stores, I think it is. They've actually had to shut their doors because people are just coming in, taking stuff off the shelf, going out the door, not being stopped, nothing. They've lost so much stuff off their shelves. They literally had to lock their doors and close down because they're just losing too much. Because, they're either not stopping them or they are getting arrested and they're getting turned loose, right back out in the street again without any kind of punishment. And California and New York are really relaxed on that kind of stuff. And this is what's happening as a result. That's what I say, until the judicial system starts getting serious about it, the criminals aren't going to get serious about it. It's the bottom line. They're just not going to take it serious until the judicial system does. I know they say, overcrowding, this and that and the other, and maybe if they would have stopped being so relaxed a long time ago and start keeping the fear of God in people for, oh my God, if I do this, I'm going to jump. Maybe a lot less people would be committing crimes if they would have just stayed serious about it instead of being so relaxed about it. No, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's just how I feel about it.
I don't know, man. I just think world's a rough place, man, no matter how you cut it. And you got to, at the end of the day, you got to be careful. You never know. You never know if some crazy person's out there that's trying to, that they need your car, they need your money, they need something for whatever reason, and they don't care about your life. I mean, I talked to, like Brandon, our producer. He's had I think one or two people get out of their cars and come vandalize his car on the freeway. Just people are crazy. There's been, since I've lived here 5 years, there's been at least 3 or 4 people getting murdered on the freeway here in Phoenix because they flipped off the wrong person. You know how many of those cases got solved? None.
Yeah.
Just shooting people and driving off, and nobody knows who did it, and that person just goes home and lives the rest of their life, never going to jail. They've never solved any of those cases. Just 4 people shot dead on the freeway.
Yeah, Trisha's saying stay aware of your surroundings at all times. Definitely. Saw a video they were talking about, when you're say you're a younger female, teenage, early 20s, whatever, and you're out shopping and stuff. When you get back out to your car, walk around your car because apparently there's this new thing going around where trafficking rings or traffickers or whoever, they're taking a zip tie and putting on the rear door handle on the passenger side as a kind of a signal that, hey, this is one we can grab, or this one's, that kind of thing. It's kind of a letting them know this is one they can snag, a potential victim. Yeah. I saw a guy talking about it on the other day. It was on I think it was his daughter's car. Because she come home from work or something one day and he saw passenger door car and he's like, what's this about? And he talked to, I think it was his brother, I think he said it was, who's in law enforcement. His brother told him about it. So yeah, he said traffickers are not to let other people know that, hey, this is a potential victim.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you ever see a zip tie on the back passenger door of your car, that's why. Because somebody spotted you out. It's crazy what
terrifying.
They do. Yeah. Yeah, they put zip ties there when the female's alone. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dudner. Yeah. It's crazy. Just crazy stuff. I haven't heard of it happening in this town yet, but I'm not saying it could never happen. You never say never. Never, ever say never.
Yeah.
And don't ever fall into the thinking, well, it's not going to happen to me. Don't ever think that. Because if you start thinking that way, you're going to drop your guard and you're going to open yourself up for that to potentially happen. So don't ever fall into that thinking. Stay on your guard. Stay alert. So it's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Here not too long ago, I had a cousin of mine shot and killed by her estranged husband down in Texas. They split up and she was, basically moving on, and they got into a verbal argument out in front of this business somewhere, and he went back and got her gun, shot her with her own gun. He's sitting in jail now. So hopefully he sits there for a very, very long time. I mean, the whole thing was caught on surveillance.
I bet there was 1.5 billion warning shots as far as this guy being a weirdo, for years. But what do? You have to have crime has to be committed before you can really do anything.
Yeah.
And sadly, when a crime is committed, it's too late.
Yeah. Just so much going on. It's hard to feel safe sometimes. You just never know. And Baby Blue Eyes is saying, if you ever see that, just keep walking, act like you can't find your vehicle and try to seek help. Yeah, there you go. And Kelly says she's always carrying a knife with her. You got to do what you got to do sometimes, man. You got to, protect your little one. I've seen situations where, moms are in stores with their babies and some guy will come wandering up and try to grab a kid out of a shopping cart and run off a kid right out of the shopping cart. I've seen situations like that. I mean, just got to stay so alert. So alert.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, whether you're in the store, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, whether you're at, if you do your laundry at the laundromat, just got to watch it anywhere and everywhere you are. Just everybody be so careful out there. That's all I ask. Just be careful. Stay on your guard. Pass this information on to loved ones and family members and friends and let them know what's going on so they can stay alert and stay aware of what's going on. Got to look out for each other, Really got to look out for each other out here. But with that, we'll go ahead and do our usual closeout here and just say, Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together again to go over these cases, and hopefully we can, bring some folks home and in Clarence's case, get some answers and some justice for him and his family. People out there have information that'll unlock these cases, and they just need to do the right thing and call it in, let people know what's going on. And we pray that they do that. And just pray until we see each other again next Thursday that everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. God bless, and we will see you then.
Best rate for the win. I'm Ashley McClure with IVP Benefits Consulting Group. We want to help you or your company find the best health, dental, and vision insurance rates available without sacrificing any benefits. Call us at 620-904-7010 to find your winning rate.
This episode is sponsored by Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big Fish Bail Bonds is your first choice in bondsmen. We are located 3 blocks away from the Sedgwick County Jail in Wichita, Kansas. We accept all major credit cards and we accept payment plans on big bonds with no collateral in some cases. Find us at bigfishbailbonds.us or give us a call at 316-262-4100. Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big or small, we release them all.